Let's talk about Dr. Shafi Shahabuddin. Dr. Shafi was a senior house officer and gynecologist of the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital. In May 2019, during the height of fear following the Easter Sunday attacks, a Sinhalese newspaper, Divena, published an article on its front page written by journalist Hemantha Randunu. The title of this article read, 4,000 Sinhala Buddhist mothers were sterilized by a Tawhid Jamaat doctor who performed caesarean operations. This doctor was named Dr. Shafi, and the report claims the secret sterilizations were performed by tubal ligation, which involves severing and tying the fallopian tubes while the women were undergoing their C-section surgeries. The article soon gained traction on social media platforms as well as local news channels. One of Sri Lanka's most senior Buddhist figures, the Asgiri chapter prelate Varakagoda Sri Yanaratna, publicly called for the doctor to be stoned. The story was also widely shared in India and elsewhere with racist anti-Muslim overtones. Dr. Shafi was eventually arrested and charged under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Apart from being charged for illegal sterilization of over 1,000 women, two further allegations were made against Dr. Shafi. 1. Illegal amassing of wealth. 2. Link with the terrorist organization Tawhid Jamaat, the terrorist group behind the Easter attacks. From the get-go, it was clear that the accusations against Dr. Shafi were largely stage-managed by a key political party to create a fear psychosis ahead of the 2019 presidential election. Parliamentarian Athuriliye Ratanathera, along with several other mothers, carried out protests opposite the Kurunegala magistrate when court proceedings were in session. Dr. Shafi was detained for 2 months before finally being granted bail by the Kurunegala magistrate in July 2019. This bail was granted as the CID was unable to find any evidence of the crimes being alleged against Dr. Shafi. What they did find was police complaints that were lodged were false and backdated. 147 complaints were investigated. Out of these 147, 13 mothers were presented before an expert committee, but only 2 of them were eligible to be further examined, meaning the other 11 complaints were false. 74 nurses, 41 doctors, and 7 specialists who had worked along with Dr. Shafi were questioned by the CID. They did not give any clue that he had performed these alleged illegal surgeries. The journalist Hemantha Randunu published the news item without necessary verification of facts. The director of the Kurunegala Hospital, Dr. Sarath Veerabandara, a key figure pushing this case, had repeatedly tried to mislead the court and the CID. The Kurunegala magistrate, Sampath Hewawasam, who was an accomplice to Dr. Veerabandara through his anesthesiologist wife, working at the same hospital, hindered the court proceedings as well as the investigations. With regards to the terrorist group links, 13 Sri Lankan law enforcement and intelligence agencies cleared Dr. Shafi of terrorist links. These agencies included Police Special Task Force, State Intelligence Service, Criminal Archives, Terrorist Investigation Division, to name a few. Though Dr. Shafi wasn't detained anymore, the damage done to his family and reputation was immeasurable. He was on compulsory leave from May 2019. His wife, who is also a doctor, suffered from depression since her husband's arrest. His 3 children were kicked out of the government schools they were attending. They were even kicked out of their home. In December 2021, the Ministry of Health reinstated him as a doctor at the Kurunegala Hospital. In February 2022, the Court of Appeal ordered the Ministry of Health to pay the arrears and allowances for the period Dr. Shafi was sent on compulsory leave. This was the court decision to the writ application filed by Dr. Shafi. Dr. Shafi was awarded salary arrears and allowances due for a period of 3 years amounting to Rs 2.67 million. This money was donated by Dr. Shafi for the purchase of essential medicines for hospitals. It has been 3 years since the allegations first surfaced, which led to the arrest of Dr. Shafi. Though the CID has made its case that there is no proof to the allegations made against Dr. Shafi, he is yet to be acquitted by the court. Since 2019, Dr. Shafi has not been the only political victim to be arrested with no sound evidence. Anaf Jazim was held under the PTA for 18 months in connection to a book of poetry he wrote, which, according to the authorities, promoted extremist ideologies. Prominent attorney and minority rights activist Hijaz Hizbullah spent over 18 months in detention over accusations of being connected to the perpetrators of the Easter Sunday attacks. Inciting communal racial disharmony has been an effective election campaign and power-maintaining strategy for many years, not only in Sri Lanka but in other countries as well. As citizens of Sri Lanka, we have suffered from the repercussions of such disharmony through incidents such as the 30-year Civil War, Black July, and Digana riots. Let's not allow politicians to use the race card to create fear among us and help get them their much-needed votes. Let's all learn to think critically and rationally about the information we consume through news outlets and social media platforms.